Everyone says you need a retinoid, but almost nobody explains which one you actually need. Retinol, retinaldehyde, tretinoin, adapalene, tazarotene, trifarotene, Bakuchiol. They all get talked about like they're interchangeable, but they're actually not. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one is right for your skin, which ones are actually worth your money, and which one I would recommend if you were sitting in my exam room. So let's get started. Hi, I'm Dr. Mamina Torregano, triple board certified dermatologist. I have been treating patients for over 16 years, and I have recommended and prescribed retinoids literally thousands of times for acne, fine lines, pigmentation, sun damage, you name it. If I could only recommend one category of skincare ingredients for healthy aging outside of sunscreen, it would be retinoids. They're the single most studied topical ingredient that we have, and honestly, nothing else even comes close. If you're new here, welcome. I make dermatology videos that explain why, not just the what, so you can make smarter decisions about your skin. Let's get into it. So what do retinoids actually do? Every retinoid starts as a form of vitamin A, but here's the most important part. Your skin can't actually use most of them yet. Your skin wants one thing, and that's retinoic acid. That is the biologically active form that binds to receptors inside your skin cells and tells them to make more collagen, normalize cell turnover, improve pigmentation, reduce acne, and strengthen the skin over time. Everything else, retinol, retinaldehyde, that has to be converted into retinoic acid or tretinoin before your skin can use it. Think of it like waiting in line. The more conversion steps, the gentler but slower the retinoid tends to be. And the fewer conversion steps, the stronger, but also potentially more irritating it becomes. Honestly, if you understand that one concept, almost every retinoid decision will make sense. So let's start with the over-the-counter options. First, we have retinol. Retinol has to go through 2 conversion steps before becoming retinoic acid. So that does make it slower than prescription retinoids, but also much easier for most people to tolerate. For someone who's never used a retinoid before, this is considered to be the safest place to start. Then there's encapsulated retinol. So one of the biggest improvements that we've seen in recent years is encapsulated retinol. Instead of releasing all at once, this retinol is slowly released over time. So by doing that, that helps reduce irritation while still maintaining efficacy. It also keeps it more stable so it doesn't break down quickly. So if you're just starting out, this is one of my favorite places to begin. Some examples include Rock Retinol Correction. There's also the Shani Darden, the 1% retinol. Love that one. Neutrogena Rapid Wrinkle Repair. That one's very gentle. I'm also a fan of the CeraVe Resurfacing Retinol Serum. Next comes Retinol or retinaldehyde. So this only needs 1 conversion step before becoming retinoic acid. So because of that, it generally works faster than retinol and gets you closer to prescription level performance while still remaining over the counter. If you've been using retinol consistently for several months and you're ready to take things up a notch, retinol would be my next recommendation. Or you can start with a retinol if you feel like your skin's not super sensitive and you want to try something a little bit more potent over the counter. My favorite retinaldehydes include the Medicaid Crystal Retinol, the Aven Retrinol, Prequel, and their retinaldehyde serums. I'm also especially proud of the Beauty Pie Youth Balm Extreme Retinol Triple Renewing Serum. I actually helped formulate that product, and one of the things that I wanted was encapsulated retinaldehyde so that you get like all the benefits while minimizing irritation. Next is Granactive Retinoid, also called HPR. So this one is a little different. We do like this one. It's like a semi-new kid on the block compared to the other retinoids. So unlike traditional retinol, HPR is designed to bind directly to retinoid receptors rather than requiring the same series of metabolic conversion steps. So that's why you'll often hear people describing it as being a little bit closer to active retinoid. And early studies suggest that it may provide retinoid-like benefits with significantly less irritation than traditional retinol. Now, I do want to be transparent. The evidence isn't nearly as extensive as what we have for tretinoin or even retinol, but based on the research that we have so far and my own clinical experience, I think it's a genuinely exciting ingredient. It works quickly with minimal irritation. Best of all worlds. The Ordinary makes an affordable Granactive retinoid serum, and then the Beauty Pie serum that I mentioned combines encapsulated retinaldehyde with Granactive retinoid, giving you 2 advanced retinoid technologies in one formula, and you're getting like an immediately acting retinoid and one that's a little bit more sustained and a little bit more potent. And then the brand Vetted, made by board certified dermatologists, also has a lovely retinoid that uses Granactive retinoid. Next category, prescription retinoids. This is where we get into the heavy hitters. These don't spend time waiting in the conversion line. They're already active, or they're synthetic retinoid analogs specifically designed to bind to retinoid receptors. That means faster results and usually the risk for more irritation. First, we have tretinoin, the tried and true. This is still the gold standard. It has decades of research showing improvements in acne, fine lines, pigmentation, collagen production, sun damage, and even precancerous skin changes. It remains the most studied topical anti-aging ingredient that we have. Of course, there's always a downside. It's also one of the hardest to start. You can get peeling, you can get dryness, redness, and even like an acne purge during the first several weeks. These are all common, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not working or that you can't use it. It just usually means that your skin's adapting. And we're gonna go over how to use it correctly to minimize those side effects. Next is adapalene. So adapalene isn't retinoic acid, it's what's called a synthetic retinoid analog. Unlike tretinoin, which binds to all three retinoic acid receptors, the RAR, alpha, beta, and gamma, adapalene primarily binds to the beta and gamma receptors, which are the most abundant in the skin. That receptor selectivity is one of the reasons why adapalene can be better tolerated while still being incredibly effective for acne and improving skin texture. Now, if somebody couldn't tolerate tretinoin, adapalene is often where I would go next. And many of you already know this, but if you're in the United States, remember that adapalene 0.1%, aka Differin gel, is now available over the counter, while higher strengths will still require a prescription, usually the 0.3%. Then we have tazarotene. So this is another synthetic retinoid analog or retinoic acid, but it's generally considered to be the most potent prescription retinoid that we have. So it has excellent data for acne, psoriasis even, as well as pigmentation and photoaging. And some studies suggest that it may even outperform tretinoin when it comes to improving deeper wrinkles and signs of sun damage. But the trade-off is higher risk for irritation. This is not where I'd start if you've never used a retinoid before. I usually reserve tazarotene for people who've already built a really good tolerance to tretinoin, or who want to push results even further, or if they have like really more kind of oily prone skin. Think of tretinoin as the gold standard, but tazarotene as the performance upgrade. And then finally we have trifarotene. So this is the newest prescription retinoid. Like adapalene and tazarotene, this is also a synthetic retinoid analog, but unlike the others, it's highly selective for one receptor. This is the RAR gamma receptor, and this receptor is found most abundantly in the skin. And it's FDA approved for acne, including larger body surface areas like the chest, shoulders, and back. Good thing if you want to really cover large surface areas. I also think it's an exciting ingredient for the future because we are starting to see growing interest in its role with photo aging and wrinkles, although we do need more long-term data before it reaches the evidence base that we have for tretinoin. And one area I'm especially excited about is what's coming next. So we're starting to see cosmetic ingredients like adapalene, designed to be like a precursor to adapalene, and trifarotene, which is designed as a precursor to trifarotene. And the goal is to just capture some of the receptor selectivity of these newer prescription retinoids while still improving tolerability enough for cosmetic formulations. Think of like retinol as a precursor for tretinoin. These are like precursors to adapalene and trifarotene. The research is still early, but I think it's going to be one of the more exciting directions in retinoid science. Like we're just kind of building this whole family of retinoids. What about retinol alternatives? Let's talk about Bakuchiol. Bakuchiol often gets marketed as nature's retinol. I mean, yes, that's very catchy marketing, but it's actually not true. Bakuchiol is not a retinoid, okay? It simply activates some of the same biological pathways. Maybe that's why people think that it's kind of like a retinoid. The evidence supporting it is definitely much smaller than what we have for true retinoids. Having said that, I do think that it's a legitimate option for people with extremely reactive or sensitive skin, or for those who are pregnant and they want an ingredient with like some overlap in benefits, since traditional retinoids should be avoided during pregnancy. Just know that if your skin tolerates an actual retinoid, it's almost always going to be more effective than Bakuchiol. What would I recommend? If you've never used a retinoid before, I would consider starting with an encapsulated retinol 2 to 3 nights a week. If you don't really have sensitive skin, you may consider starting encapsulated retinaldehyde. Now, if you're doing a retinol, you're tolerating it well and you want better results, then move up to a retinaldehyde. When you're ready for prescription strength, tretinoin is still my benchmark. If you can't tolerate tretinoin, I would consider adapalene, and adapalene's over the counter if you want to try that before tretinoin. And if you're already tolerating tretinoin and you want maximum anti-aging benefits, talk to your derm about tazarotene. Now, if you're pregnant or if you're really sensitive, you might want to look into Bakuchiol. But honestly, like the Neutrogena Rapid Wrinkle Repair Retinol, that one's really great for sensitive skin. Let's talk about how to actually use a retinoid and why so many people fail retinoids. So first, you want to start slow. 2 to 3 nights per week is plenty to start. And after 2 to 4 weeks, if your skin's doing well, you want to gradually go up to 5 to 7 nights a week. Second, use only a pea-sized amount for the entire face. Sometimes you can go up to 2 pea-sized amounts, but I typically say 1 pea-size to be safe. Really, more product doesn't give you better results. You just run the risk of having more irritation. Third, apply it to completely dry skin. Damp skin can increase penetration, which also increases irritation. Fourth, you want to follow it with a moisturizer. Supporting your skin barrier makes it much easier to stay consistent. Now, if you're especially sensitive, I would recommend the retinoid sandwich method. So this is applying a moisturizer, then your pea-sized amount of your retinoid, then another layer of moisturizer on top of that. You still can get the benefits while dramatically improving tolerability. And here's another trick that we use in dermatology that not many people know about, and that's called short contact therapy. So you want to apply your retinoid for a few hours in the evening, but then instead of going to bed, wash it off. As your skin builds tolerance, gradually leave it on longer and longer until you're eventually just wearing it overnight. It's really a great option for people who thought they couldn't tolerate retinoids at all. And when you're first starting out, I also recommend avoiding layering your retinoid in the same routine as glycolic acid, salicylic acid, other strong exfoliating acids, or benzoyl peroxide. And can there be exceptions? Of course. Once your skin has adapted, there are ways to combine certain active ingredients safely. But for beginners, I recommend alternating nights. That's usually the better option. Finally, of course, sunscreen every single morning. That's a non-negotiable. Retinoids help repair years of accumulated sun damage, but if you are creating new UV damage every day, you're kind of like working against yourself. So kind of what's the point? I do have a myth that I want to bust because I hear this all the time regarding retinoids, and that is retinoids thin your skin. They do not thin your skin, okay? Early on, they can temporarily thin the outermost layer of the dead skin cells, which is one reason people might notice that peeling, but over time, they actually will do the opposite. The retinoids stimulate collagen, which increases dermal thickness. It will also increase epidermal thickness and improve overall skin quality. So no, retinoids aren't making your skin thinner. They're helping build healthier, stronger skin. So retinoids are the most proven category in all of skincare, but the best retinoid is not the strongest one. It's the strongest one your skin can tolerate consistently, because the retinoid you use for the next 10 years will always outperform the one that's so irritating you quit after 2 weeks. Save this video for the next time you're standing in the skincare aisle trying to decide between retinol or retinaldehyde. Everything I mentioned is linked below, organized by where you are in your retinoid journey. If this helped you, please share it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is exactly the kind of content that I make. I try to make skincare more digestible and accessible for people. And until next time, take care of your skin and take care of yourself. Bye.